When it comes to bass fishing in August, you're going to have to deal with some heat.
I'm baking like a toasted cheese here. It's so hot here.
But if you select the right lures, you can still go out there and consistently catch bass. And today I'm gonna go over the 5 lures that I do not leave home without in August. So stay tuned, it's gonna be a good one. This video is brought to you by sportsmansoutfitters.com. Sportsman's Outfitters is the place that I like to shop. Whether you're looking for tackle, rods, reels, coolers, your hunting stuff, you can find it all at sportsmansoutfitters.com. And it seems like a lot of times they are running some sort of deal on tackle or rods or something. So if you guys would like to help support the Bass Fishing HQ channel, you can click those links down below in the description. Let's go ahead and jump into the top 5 lures for August bass fishing right now. Now in July, I talked about using a topwater, and specifically I talked about using a popping frog. Now in August, I will still use a popping frog, and there are times where bass will absolutely still eat a frog up, but what you also see in August is that bass just really kind of start folding under the pressure of so many anglers out there on the water. And what tends to happen is they get a little gun shy on frogs. And what I've seen is that I'll be going down a bank where I'm skipping under overhanging trees, and those fish will come up and hit that frog, but they will just miss it. And you will go to set the hook, you'll go to add extra hooks, you'll do a lot of modifications to your frog, but no matter what you do, those fish will just tend to miss that frog. So when that happens, I'm switching over to a popper. A popper is a bait that I use a ton in August, and I use it for a number of different situations. The first one is gonna be what I just talked about. If I am having fish that are missing a frog, I'm gonna pick up the popper. Now the popper that I like to use a lot, especially in shallow water, is this one right here. This is an ARC TP70 popper, and the reason that I like this popper so much is because you can walk it very, very well. So if I'm casting under overhanging trees, I can walk this bait very slowly out of that shade line. And if a bass comes up and hits this, because you're using treble hooks, they tend to get hooked up. And so that is a big thing that I do a lot in August. Now, something that I also use the popper for is actually fishing out on the main lake. A lot of times if you're fishing around rocky points or humps or grassy points or humps, bass are feeding on a lot of little minnows and little shad during this time of the year. And any time that bass are feeding on those little bait fish, a popper is a bait that I pick up a lot. Now my favorite popper to mimic those little bait fish is the Strike King KVD Splash Junior. As you can see, this particular bait has a lot of wear and tear on it, and I have caught a lot of bass, especially during the middle of summer in August, on this little bait. Now I tend to work this bait a lot faster when I'm fishing it in more open water, you know, on the main lake. And I will actually 1, 2, 3, pause, 1, 1, 2, 3, pause. So this bait is constantly moving, it's constantly spitting water, blooping, it's doing a little bit of everything, but I work it really, really fast. And I've seen it where bass will hit a popper and they won't hit any other topwater bait. So in August, do not forget about poppers. Now the second lure that I pick up a ton during the middle of summer is some sort of swing head bait or hard head or rugby head. A swing head is a bait that I think kind of still goes under the radar. Most people know about a swing head or a hard head, but I just think that a lot of guys still don't pick this bait up. And in August is a great time to pick up this bait. Now the reason that I pick it up a lot in August is because I'm going to fish this bait in a lot of my traditional offshore structure areas. So if I'm fishing a ledge or a hump or a deep rock pile, you know, those areas a lot of times in May, June, and July, I might fish a swim bait or a deep diving crankbait. Now again, because the bass have started to see so much pressure out there on the water, that is why I pick up a swing head. Again, because it just seems like not as many people are picking it up. And anytime that I am fishing around people and I feel like I'm fishing something different, it just gives me a lot of confidence, and I feel like that confidence helps me to just catch a lot of bass. Now when it comes to the size of swing head that I use the most, I typically use a 1/2 ounce or a 3/4 ounce 90% of the time. Those two sizes are the ones that I use a lot. If I am fishing in less than 10 foot of water, I'm gonna pick up that 1/2 ounce. If I'm fishing in more than 10 foot of water, that's when I'm gonna pick up that 3/4 ounce. And the big key with this bait is just maintaining bottom contact. I'm gonna cast that bait out, and really it's just kind of a slow retrieve across the bottom. Once you start making contact with the bottom, I will sometimes speed that bait up, and every now and then, just like with every single lure, I like to just kill that bait. If I'm bringing it across the bottom and I kill it, sometimes that just gives a bass a reason to go up there and pick it up. You can cover a lot of water very, very quickly. And a lot of times in August, it's all about just simply covering water. You might pick up a fish here and there, or it might help you to find a school of fish. Now, if you fish in very clear water situations, this next lure is definitely for you. It's one that I pick up a lot in August. It's one of my favorite bites, although it may seem a little complex. It's really pretty simple, and that is a spybait. The spybait is a Japanese lure that I have absolutely fallen in love with over about the last 5 years. And it's a very simple lure to fish, although I feel like a lot of guys make it extremely complicated. The big thing that I do with this spybait is I target suspended fish. And the best thing about this bait is it's extremely easy to fish. I'm going to cast this bait out, I'm going to count it down to the depth that I want it to be at, and then I'm gonna slowly reel this bait in. It's a slow to medium pace. And this bait just rocks back and forth like this in the water. And if you fish around smallmouth or spotted bass, you have to have a spybait with you, because it seems like smallmouth and spots really like this bait. Now, you can also catch a ton of largemouth with this bait, and you can also catch fish that are extremely pressured with this bait. I really highly suggest picking up some sort of spybait and just start learning this bait, because in August and September, I throw a spybait a lot. Now, the other thing that I do a lot with a spybait, and honestly, I do not want to talk about this, but I am going to talk about this, is that if you have fish that are schooling, which you see a lot in August, this is one of the best ways to actually catch those schooling bass. I have seen it so many times on the water where you will have fish that are blowing up. And if you can make a cast with the topwater bait while they are blowing up, a lot of times you can catch that fish. But if those fish go down and they stop blowing up, that topwater bait is not going to catch fish. And I have seen that you can not only catch the fish that are active and blowing up with a spybait, but even after those fish go down, they may be down for 30 seconds or so, you can actually cast that spybait where those fish were, and a lot of times you can catch fish that other guys simply cannot catch. This is just a lure that they have not seen a whole lot, and so it just seems like you can catch a lot more fish on a spybait than even some of your top waters during the month of August. Now, if you feel like that spybait is too complex for you, I am going to be making a full video on it here in the very near future. But another bait that you can pick up, and number 4 on my list, is actually just some sort of finesse style swim bait. Now, as you can see here, this swim bait that I have actually has a blade on the end of it. And I really like fishing swim baits with a blade on them during the middle of August. And the biggest reason, and we've already kind of hit on this, is that bass are feeding on a lot of little minnows, shad, young of the year bait fish during this time of the year. So having this little bit of flash is something that can attract bass from a long distance away. It's something that really matches the hatch. The bass can see that flash, and then they go investigate it. And when they investigate that flash, they see your whole offering here, and they will bite on to the whole offering. Now, you can actually do this yourself, or you can actually buy these pre-made. This particular swim bait here is the Hyperelastic Dart Spin Pro, and that actually comes pre-rigged like you see it right here, which is just really nice. It's already done, it's already made for you. You just got to go out there and start casting it around. The nice thing about this dart spin is that it is made out of that elastic type material. So it's actually a very durable bait. What I see happen from time to time is that this jig head will kind of pop out on you like that, but if you add just a simple touch of super glue right there, that thing is going to stay locked in place, and you're going to be able to catch a lot of fish on this little Swimbait. Now, in my opinion, there is really no bad place to fish this bait. You can fish it out in the open water, you can fish it around grass, you can fish it around rock. You know, it might not come through brush the best because it has an exposed hook on it, but if you can cast it near that brush and kind of keep it on the outside, you can catch a lot of bass on the outside of brush. Another thing that this bait is really good for is actually skipping underneath docks. We actually saw Jake Whitaker use this exact same bait a couple of years ago on Lake Chickamauga, and he was casting this bait, skipping it way far underneath boat docks and catching bass that were way up underneath boat docks. And a lot of guys that are fishing boat docks are going to be fishing jigs and soft plastics, so showing them, you know, a minnow style bait, something that has flash like this, it's just something different. I cannot stress how being different in August is going to help you to catch a lot more bass. And just so you guys know, as always, I'm going to have all this equipment linked down below for you guys to check out. Now, the fifth and final lure that I always have rigged up with me in August is one that is very simple to use. You probably have everything that you need to fish it, and that is the simple Texas rig. Now, I did a full video that I'm going to link right here about exactly what baits and everything that I like to use on my Texas rig during the middle of summer. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I think you'll enjoy this one as well. Please comment below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.